Welcome everybody to our live stream here on Lichess and Twitch. What is up? Asterbait, good to see you. What is up? We've only got one game. We've got another one. There should be another one that I couldn't put in the study. Asterbait, it's the art of analysis. Analysis stream Thursday. Alright, I'm International Master William Paschall. Welcome, friends and enemies. Let's see what we've got here. So, our good friend Sumaher usually sends in a game. Well, he might have forgotten as well. Everyone's watching the World Cup these days. How about Sumaher? Man, I'm seriously lagging. Wow. What is that about? Terrible endgame. Terrible internet. We got terrible internet. So let's see. Sumair sending in a game called Terrible Endgame. Terrible connection. Oof. I suddenly my computer is lurching and steaming and throwing out smoke. How's my ping? Oof, 271. Nice ping you got there. We are live. Ping is down to 147. So welcome everybody to the stream. Don't forget to support the stream. Thanks, Mr. Coffee, for donating 1,000 bits yesterday. You will follow International Master William Paschall. If it's the last thing you ever do, you're going to learn something. Sumaher against Pawn Structures. Asterbait against Pendler. Pendler. Why do I have two windows open? Alright. It's great to be back here streaming again after live tournament. Playing some real chess though never hurts. Keep in practice. So I managed to gain 1 rating point since last list. I thought I was gonna break even at best. I pulled in 1 rating point, kids. Isn't that great? Isn't December 1st great? We're up a rating point. Massive. Okay. 1 rating point better than none. We'll take it. Better than -8, which is where I was at before the World Senior. Thanks to the wonders of the Budapest Team Championship. Which I really don't want to play any more games in. So I have 3 games. Asterbait, Schumacher, and Princess Chess, who submitted a game that I was unable to put into the study. Giving us 3 games to start with, and then the late comers. Because I've been away, I think a lot of people forgot about me being back and doing subscriber streams, so a little bit less games to start with here. Hopefully some people will be along. Don't forget to start a hype train, Asterbait. Asterbait, it's up to you. Hopefully Mr. Coffee's here and he's not banned tonight or today. If you're in the United States, it is afternoon. Afternoon time or morning time. Let's start with Asterbait's game. The Asterbait versus the Pendler. E4. The E4. Alright, this is Asterbait's submission. A game against a 1641 player. Asterbait opens with E4. His opponent plays the Sicilian. Well, he plays Knight to C3. No open Sicilian. Tomorrow, I've got a very bad neck cramp. I slept in an awkward position. Now I have, broken neck. Since yesterday. We'll try not to complain about it an old fogey that I am. The other day someone said something nice that I looked like I was 30. I mean, were they just pulling my leg? Were they pulling my leg? Or did they really think that I looked like I was 30? The last time I tried to pass the 39, someone looked at me strange. Alright, Knight C3, E6. Yeah, tomorrow you can start the hype train. Tomorrow morning, the stream might be delayed. I have a meeting in the morning. I'm not sure I'm going to be back in time for a a normal 11 o'clock start, but we shall see. If not, Asterbate, you can induce a hype train on Sunday. All right, so e6. This is a solid move against the closed Sicilian. I think a lot of people, you see here, like the number one move is knight f3. A lot of closed Sicilian players will go back to, let's say, open Sicilians once they see e6. White instead plays bishop c4. This is this is our hero Asterbate with a very early bishop c4. This is not the Grand Prix attack, Asterbate. This is a very early bishop c4. I don't know, but this beer is ice cold, and it makes a perfect thing to put on my broken neck. Yeah, I mean, this is a problem. If you play the Grand Prix attack, the e6 is kind of bad news, to be honest. I am Leon Coach. Hello. Whose games are we analyzing? We're analyzing the games of the people who are subscribers to my stream. First one being VIP Asterbate. So, e6, bishop c4. Okay, the problem is that f4 isn't so hot against e6. No, I mean, look at the statistics. Like 37% wins for black, wins for black, higher than white. You need an alternative method of playing without playing the Grand Prix attack here against e6. f4 is just not so great. So I recommend either you play g3 and you go into a proper closed Sicilian, or you go knight f3 and you play an open game of some kind. I don't think f4 is great. I don't think bishop c4 is great. Form of the Bodler. We're not taking challenges today, guys. I can turn that off. Yeah, I don't know, man. Your bishop outside the pawn chain against this is usually not that effective. Okay, it's playable. Not my favorite setup. Now black plays a6. I had a game years ago where I played knight f6 with black here. I like knight f6. Oh man, Sebastian Feller back to chess after being convicted of cheating. That's so gross, honestly. I don't know how you could come back to chess after you were caught like cheating with a mobile phone and banned from the game for like 5 years or whatever. It's just so disgusting. e5. d5. I like this for black. Alright. Knight f6, probably white's best move is like d3. Or possibly, yeah, d3. I don't like e5. I think you gotta go with like d3 here. You would have e5 there. I don't think so. Let's see what the engine says. No, knight f3 or d3. You could play queen e2, but the problem is the d4 square. So if you play queen e2, you're getting hit by knight c6, and then it's like, welcome into d4. Now you have to play knight f3 to stop that. It's probably best not to put the queen on e2. So it's either d3 or knight f3, presumably. But d3 seems to make the most sense. Yeah. Now I know what you're going to do here, but I'm not sure it's best. You're going to play a4, because that's what Asterbate does. D3 is not a problem. I think the D3, he's not threatening you in a piece. When you go D3, he plays B5. Okay, then you play bishop B3, but it's not trapped. This isn't that bad. A4 weakens white's queen side. It's black's strong side of the position. Generally speaking, you don't want to make pawn moves on the opponent's stronger side. So I think there's a lot of reasons why A4 isn't the best move. You're weakening the B4 square. You're weakening your weaker side where the opponent has an upper hand because of the C5 pawn. White's side of the board is the king side. The pawn is on E4. We should be playing in the center on the king side. Black plays in the center on the queen side. Absolutely moving the A pawn has major disadvantages in the long run. I think this move is best, and will only move the A pawn if it's absolutely necessary to avoid losing a piece or something like that. So Acerbate does A4, weakening the B4 square, weakening the queen side in general. It's playable, but I don't think best. Now black plays knight e7. This is an interesting move. That's a pretty subtle move from a 1600, to be honest. But actually, he can play knight f6 as well. The point is, he's probably afraid of e5 and doesn't see that he can go here. The average player may not realize this is playable. But nevertheless, e7 is behind the pawn chain and he's threatening d5. So, it's a strong move. I like how someone here played queen h5. Nice. Perhaps an idea, but I don't trust it. So Acerbate played f4. You're going to get blasted here after f4. He's threatening to blast you with d5, and f4 just doesn't cut it, man. You got to make preparations for d5, man. This guy is gonna smack you right in the middle of the board with d5, and f4 really doesn't do anything about it. He just doesn't pull the trigger. It's unbelievable. If you have one more move, maybe you consider f4. If you had already played d3, but I think here you're in deep trouble after d5. We've talked about this before, Acerbate. You can't lose your center. If you have to take here, it's a bad deal. I mean, this bishop's opening up. Your f4 pawn is stupid. It blocks your bishop on c1. You've got nothing here. Black is better. And our other option, which isn't very appealing, is to bring the bishop back, let's say, to a2, when white, could face either, any of the three possibilities of taking, pushing, which I'm not so sure about pushing, taking, something like knight f5. Black has a good game. Agro Grand Prix style. Cockatier, nice of you to be positive, but I want Acerbate to understand, the order of moves here is, it's not enough to be aggro. You have to play well too. Aggro spirit is not enough. So, alright, f4, bad move. You're lucky the opponent doesn't play d5. And oh my god, what is that? This guy missed the bus, man. Where did the bus go? Is that the bus? Shit. I missed the bus completely. Wow. He doesn't know where the bus is, man. I mean, he was right there, ready to play d5 and challenge you, and he just missed it. He's like, whoop, there it goes. Totally missed the point, right over his head. He never intended to play d5 at all. His idea was to transfer this knight over here. Like, at least, like, use your other knight and keep d5 in reserve. Or, you know, blast Acerbate with d5, but this move, this is really bad. Now his other knight has nowhere to go. His redundant, you know, he's redundant, but he doesn't have d5, most importantly. You've actually transposed to a position that happened. I don't believe it. This position happened. Nikola Mitkov game against some guy back in 1990. How could black get the knight like that in a real game? That's insane. So, knight f3, he's not threatening d5, you're castling, and then this. I think I looked over this game now that I remember. I quickly scrolled through it. I think I remember what happened. So Acerbate doesn't listen to me for the most part. He pretends to listen to me, but it's like he just tunes me out. I want you to like replay the stream, Acerbate, and listen to this commentary of this game again at a later time, maybe tomorrow or later today, and let it sink in a second time. Your opponent missed several opportunities to play d5, which gives him like a clear advantage. Now, you're totally out of the woods with a totally normal, even good, closed Sicilian, I would say. You should just be playing d3, playing for f5, ultimately, this type of stuff. He has a chance maybe to play for bishop f6 and try to control the d4 square. But I've seen you do this a lot. You kind of randomly decide to like play the open Sicilian. I'm not sure this is a bad move, but I need to look at this. We've got to think this through. Is it okay to play d4 and just randomly go from the Grand Prix attack to the open Sicilian just like that? Are we going to have a problem tactically here? How do you feel about this diagonal? Can you fix Mubat? Did we fix Mubat? Mr. Coffee, welcome. I've got a message here. Maybe it's hate mail. Oh, Kakatiri. Kakatiri! You are a subscriber. Thanks for being a subscriber. Did you just subscribe? Or you're already subscribed? I guess he was already subscribed, but thanks for being a subscriber. What do we got? Thank you for being a subscriber, Kakatiri. Welcome, Mr. Coffee. So Kakatiri will go on the list. Just call him Kaka. Alright, you can't figure out how I can get Mubat back to the stream. See, that was what I was having trouble with the last time this happened, Mr. Coffee. Mubat was accidentally banned along with Mr. Coffee. Get him back online. So Acerbate, make up your mind. Do you want to play the closed Sicilian or the open Sicilian? We should just teach you to play the open Sicilian. Anyways, so what happens after takes, queen b6? One, would assume bishop e3, right? But this pawn is hanging. So that's the million-dollar question. Do we have some kind of trap or way to exploit the enemy queen here? Camelex. Thanks for being a subscriber. You can submit a game. You may. May I? Oh yeah, we can do what my English teacher said in 7th grade. I can't remember. Mrs. Phillips. Wow, that's crazy. For the first time in 30 years, I remembered my 7th grade English teacher's name. That's insane. I'm lying. Was she my 8th grade? Was it 7th grade? Yeah, my 7th grade English teacher. Wow. Mrs. Phillips. It just came back to me. That's insane. So it's still in there. I still have a brain that actually functions at my age. Mrs. Phillips used to say, "May I submit a game?" Alright. Queen takes b2. She had this obsession with that can and may. Can I go to the bathroom? It left me scarred for life. What about, Oh, Mr. Slowhand. Good times in Italy? Hope so. I hope you followed my results. You're our biggest supporter. Yeah, thanks to your German Grandmaster for beating me and destroying my dreams of becoming the world senior champion. No, just kidding. I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. I'm very happy I went, and I felt positive about the result. We did the best. I did the best I could. Under the circumstances. Positive result. My latest rating supplement went up by 1 point because I was -8 going in. So I was -8 rating points going into the World Senior, and I came out +1. So that's a 9-point gain. Nah, we finished 13th place. He once said, "You look like a young Kramnik." I had a funny story with him. He's I don't know him well, but he gets very emotional when he starts to get a bad position. So he Bischoff was playing adjacent to me across, and when I was just mentally taking a break from my position, I looked over at his board and I started looking at the position. He was in trouble, or he thought he was in trouble against this weak I am. And Bischoff, I've never had anybody do this to me in my life in 35 years. He looked at me and he waved his hand and he said, "Go back and pay attention to your game," It's in the middle of a game, this grandmaster is telling me I can't look at his game and I should pay attention to my game. And then he laughed, he meant it. He was angry and distracted, and he wanted no one to look at his position. But it's crazy, no one has ever done that before. So he's a little bit neurotic. And he also started getting irritated with a spectator when he started to think he had a bad position against me. It was kind of funny. He did the same thing. He waved Jean Hebert, who wasn't doing anything wrong, away from the board. So he needs some Xanax during the game or something. But he's basically a nice guy. That was just an odd occurrence. I mean, I've been guilty. I've been as guilty as anybody of getting upset when I have a bad position. But I have never ever in my life tried to tell a neighboring board to not look at the board. Spectators are one thing, but other players on neighboring boards, we all have issues. We do. Just thought it was a funny story. But he does seem like a sympathetic guy. All right, Astrobate. I don't know about Queen takes b2. Anyway, appreciate seeing you here, Mr. Slow. Mr. Slow is among our biggest sponsors for the World Senior. So, wanted to have a good performance. All right. Mind your own business, Spock. Yeah, the human emotions of the Grandmaster came through. So Astrobate, I don't yeah, Mr. Slow, please submit a game. You are more than welcome to submit a game for the stream, sir. Sire Coffee. Sots. Send in a game. Alright, Cockatieri. You are welcome. We're still struggling our way through the first game for today with Astrobate. We get these games together. Copy, tools, analysis board. Yeah, take your time. It's going to be a while before we get there. I've got my proverbial wonderful lag going on. Can I... Oh, that's not working. Why is that not working? Oof. Can I, like... Oh, there it goes. There it goes. Import game. Did that work? Maybe it worked. Alright, that's in there. Cockatieri's in. Got terrible lag. I hope it's not destroying my stream like in the past. Chapter 4 is Cockatieri. Sots. Or Shots. I don't know how to pronounce it. Got another PGN. I love PGNs. Ask me, what'd you do? You gift a sub? How did you do that? Gift sub from Asterbait. It's early. 1st of December. The coach. No relation to Coach Ah. We haven't seen Coach Ah in a long time. Thank you, Asterbait, sire. You have to be a subscriber to submit a game to the stream. And I got terrible lag. It's related to the Streamlabs OBS. It just should be BS, basically, not OBS. BS, OBS. Mr. Coffee gifted tier 1 to Mubot. Oh no. Mr. Coffee with 50, around even 50 gift subs in the channel. Maybe that'll bring Mubot back online. $12 left. Asterbait, you're very generous. So anyway, we're in Asterbait's game here. Knight on EC6. Black misses D5. White now plays D4. But I am very concerned about this diagonal. Unclear what would happen if black... black has to take, by the way. I believe. At some point. If not this move, then the next move for sure. But, okay. Take. Queen B6. Bishop E3. And then queen takes B2. I wasn't certain about what happens here. That's critical variation. But white might be okay with the kind of poison pawn. But black goes here. Yeah, I don't trust this move for black, but it's playable. I like bishop A2 as much as the next guy. But, Leon, who got a gift sub, said nothing can possibly be wrong in this world with A4, but you can see there is a problem with A4, and it's the B4 square. It might even come in handy that he has two knights on like C6 and A5 to contain that bishop on A2. I mean, this looks really crazy, but he could play even this. Probably not good because of D5. I think that black realistically needs to take here. And I honestly don't trust knight A5. I think he should just take. Always take. So take, queen takes, and then G7's hanging. So black probably castles, and then black's coming with knight to C6. But both sides are making strange moves. Knight A5, bishop A2, and then castles. The moment of truth. What do you guys think about this interesting position? What a Grand Prix, huh? Our Grand Prix pawn is on D4 instead of D3. So what do we do? Are you concerned at all about this diagonal? Should we play bishop E3 to guard said diagonal and develop peace? Should we play king H1 getting off the diagonal? Should we go D5? Renting to own the space, turning it into a really weird Benoni? I mean, it's the problem that arises here is how the heck does white decide what to play in this position? You've got bishop E3, D5, king H1, I really, I don't know where to start, you know. But the following move is not a good idea. E5? Well, that's ambitious. E5, G4, F5. I mean, our king is over here, but, you know, I would start step by step and see what happens. I mean, E5 looks like these pawns are a little bit likely to be undermined. It's not that easy to roll over black here. I kind of like this move D5. I mean, if you play D5, if he takes, just recapture with a knight. I mean, even bishop takes is strong, but you have very good control of D5 here. Moo.bot and then connect with Twitch. What are you saying, Mr. Coffee? I like this prophylactic move. But I mean, D5 would prevent black from playing C takes D and change the structure, but I think it's advantageous. White has a massive space advantage here. We're basically threatening like pawn takes pawn, maybe, followed by pawn takes pawn and F5, undermining long diagonal. And black's knight is stuck out on A5. This is not good, man. I mean, you know, it's not a horrifying move, but why? Why are you retreating your knight away from the center? Is Moobot a woman or a man? Oh my god, man. You might want to shield your eyes and the small children here. We don't want the small children to see this ultra violence on the chessboard. Anyone who plays E5 here has lost their mind completely. Any concept of what chess is about. E5? Opening the A2 diagonal and dropping the E5 pawn simultaneously. This is totally insane. Takes. Okay. Here. Self-immolation. Setting yourself on fire. And so white has a lot of strong moves, let's say. This is one of them. Knight G3 and now C4, blotting out this bishop. But the damage is done. Black's position is beyond salvation, I would say. Focus on development, but this is okay. Takes. I want to develop a piece. Damn, that queen b6 check is kind of slightly annoying. You know, but Acer, why not, for example, bishop e3? I like this. This just takes care of things on the diagonal. We're just so comfortable after that move. Or you could preemptively play king h1. This is also fine. Something to do about defending that diagonal. You just took. Black takes advantage with queen b6 check. And so now I expected king h1, but you played queen d4. Which is a nice move, actually. Black now has no choice but to trade queens into a pawn down ending. Bam. Knight on a5. Central pawn down. White's threatening knight f5. It's strategically a winning position for white. Welcome, Juicebox. Bam. No, you've got total domination of the center here. But I think we're lagging in development. That's the theme. This refusal to play bishop e3 and complete your development at some point. What do you have against this move? I need to know. Do you have a problem with bishop e3? You're just not used to playing it. But now you're going to have to. Here, here, and you had to. And then he just gives up the bishop, take, and you're just picking up the pieces now. This is lost Your e4 pawn can be pushed where it's protected. You're up a clear pawn. I think that black should try something desperate, maybe c3. Okay, his move is reasonable, actually. I love your move, though, b4. I don't know if it's good, but I love it anyway. No, I guess his best move was b5. This was a good move by black. He poses some problems here. c3 was much weaker. So b4, a really cool idea, but it's not forced. Ultimately, he's not really threatening anything, you know? I think, you know, objectively, maybe we should just like bring this baby to the center and go with the flow here on the d file. That looks very promising. Although your bishop still has yet to bust out, you could do your standard kind of like bring it back to b1 that I've seen you do before. You could also bust out with b3 at a later date. But this is interesting, b4. The problem is you're probably going to have to play c3, which is what happened. And it's fine, it's fine. You just got to watch this invasion here. It's too slow. What he does here is just way too slow. This is like extremely slow. I think at this point I would probably play a5 if I were you. You should probably just go here and like lock it down. And this is going to be a forever... It's a forever weakness. And it's on the same color as your bishop. I say you just play a5 and bring your bishop, you reroute it back here. I don't want to see his knight like arriving on b5, but it's probably still too dangerous for him to take here. Objectively, this bishop becomes very, very strong. So it was a good positional game by you after you survived the opening. Another neat move, f5, total domination. And then rook here, and he's getting crushed down the f file. It's just your bishop needs to get in the game. I think you could seriously consider sacking a piece here. Big Willie. Beast from the East. Beast from the East is my name for... That's my name for Grandmaster Parleygrass. Alright, can we sack a piece here with knight takes c4? With annihilation on the diagonal? Very likely. f5, good move. You also have e5, to be honest. They're both good. Because you have this, f5 still, everything. Bishop back to b1. It's a winning position for white. I don't trust the way you did this, though. Better to go here first, keep f5 in reserve, and it gives you the ability to use the knight in a couple different ways. Also, your bishop comes back, hits e4, it has an open diagonal, putting your pawns on the opposite color as the bishop. This way your pawns block your bishop. So that's going to be tricky. He plays this, and now f6, you've got a back rank. But he can play knight c6. His only move is a knight to c6, so which one? Presumably knight a c6, so he can play maybe rook a7. I suspect black is strategically lost, but he hangs a piece. Asabate missed it. It would have been better to play rook takes knight, but you decided to take it easy on him. Give him a chance. He snaps your pawn. You played knight e7 check. Whoops, there goes a piece. Anyway, now you saw it. And it's over. Yeah, I mean, this is brutal. So you have any way to win here. Bishop takes g6. Probably knight takes g6. This move is probably good enough. And all sorts of mates coming up. Nice. Mate in 3. Good job. All right. Yeah, it's just the opening was like a catastrophe. Astrobate, you need to work on understanding how to play this closed Sicilian, because basically, like on move 5, I mean, black has a clear advantage. I would say here after f4, d5, you're seriously in trouble, because you're just caught with your development behind, and you don't have coordination. He's just blasting your center to bits, destroying e4. I guess you try bishop a2 here, but you got to play this better. All right, we've got another submission here from Mr. Slow. There is time for Mr. Slow. Short of the board game of my first open after 2.5 years. Welcome to the world of COVID. Alright, we'll just keep Mr. Slow on the list, on my paper list. Because this won't go in the study, that's fine. A lot of people do that to me. It's totally okay. Settings in your studies or whatever. Make it contingent. Mr. B-Jock. We always get your game. Don't worry. Mr. Coffee Astrobate, thank you guys for the gift subs. Remember to bring all your bits for Sunday's subscriber stream. Tomorrow morning we have rapid challenges, but I have a meeting in the morning. I have to go somewhere before the stream, so I might be a little late tomorrow. Stream is normally at 11 a.m. There's some chance it might not start till 12. We will see. Okay, no promises. It's Sumaher versus CM Pawn Structures. That's the wrong game, huh? How did I do that? Alright. CM Pawn Structures. We won't forget our game with young Kramnik. We have submissions from Princess Chess. Princess Chess is next. Cockteary, Mr. Slow, and Soots. Okay, so this is Sumair playing white. Queen's Gambit declined. I think that's your favorite opening, huh? But CM Pawn Structures, just the look. I get it. I haven't seen you, but the Kramnik look. Alright. C6. So, pawn triangle. It's funny that someone named Pawn Structures creates a pawn triangle, but not surprising. And so, our hero plays this gambit. I don't know what it's called. Marshall Gambit, of course. Everything's called the Marshall Gambit, right? E4. How many Marshall Gambits are there? Alright. Once in a while, you'll occasionally run into somebody who has an alternative here. Although this particular position, I don't even think like bishop b4. That reminds me of the advanced Caro. Damn, Astrobate. That almost transposes to your advanced Caro. Except there's no bishop on f5. This is a bad advanced caro, right? e5, and there's no bishop out on f5. You would think it would be a bad advanced caro. Or caro. This is a move. cd5. What about cd5? Maybe this variation needs more work, you know, more investment in analysis. It looks like bishop b4 is playable. But I was explaining to Astrobate, this move is kind of a bluff, because black doesn't really want to trade off that bishop. It's just about trying to fight for control of e4. So, the main line takes, knight takes. Now he played knight f6. This is a side variation. I don't know, how bad is knight f6? Can it be that bad? Makes complete sense, actually. There may be some problem with knight takes knight. But the main variation, of course, is bishop e4 check, bishop d2, and queen takes d4. There's like boatloads of analysis on this. One of the most complicated, like, modern gambits. This is discussed by, you know, a lot of books. Very sharp main variation, like bishop takes, queen takes e4 check, and then white has usually bishop e2. Although I know knight e2 is another line, but it's very, very sharp. Requires a lot of memorization from both sides. There is a sideline, though. Here as well, white could play knight to c3 and avoid the main line. There was an interesting idea. Was it, speaking of Kramnik, was it Kramnik? No, this is normal. Wait, is that right? Can that be right, Master? I'm forgetting my own analysis now. I think I'm forgetting my own analysis. I thought there was a weird move, but I can't remember. I don't play this line, it's too sharp for white. I never wanted to be dependent on memorizing like 20 moves of theory, really. To be honest with you. But knight c3 is unusual. For some reason I kept thinking it was c5. c5. There's a lot of games here. a3. I don't remember. I'm thinking of a different variation. Anyway, his opponent played knight f6, so now I guess the point is, like, black has two recaptures on f6, but they're both problematic. If you take with the pawn, you have a Rockport style pawn structure, for lack of a better term. It's kind of like a Rubinstein French or GF Caro-Kann, but we've got a bad bishop stuck in on c8. Playable, but strategically, I guess, it's considered dubious for black. I mean, like, for example, knight f3, bishop e4 check. I mean, this doesn't solve black's problems, you know? I mean, you've got a bad bishop on c8. You don't necessarily want to trade off your better bishop with bishop e4. It's very hard for black to play there. So black has to take with the queen. The lesser of the evils, still a bad bishop on c8. And then, of course, there are queen traps with, like, knight f3, bishop g5, etc. So knight f3, check. You know, that's black's good bishop, remember. Bishop d2, bishop d2 check, queen d2, castles. So black's simplified, traded two sets of pieces. As my friend Dragon Kosic used to say, trade two pieces and she doesn't know how to play chess. But this isn't really great. I mean, white just has a killer center, the pawn on d4. That's not going away. I mean, the bottom line is, like, how does black undermine this pawn on d4? You know? Can't play this. c6 ain't helping anything. And we can't easily play c5 either without some preparation. Yeah, I don't think that, Cockatier, we have to get carried away. You can try that kind of stuff, like h4, if you want to, maybe castle queenside. My instinct is that white's position is so good. It's like Capablanca would never play h4 here. He would just keep a small but lasting advantage forever. So this is the game. Bishop d3. Black can, see white castle on either side, of course. b6 is a suggestion, of course. b6 is probably one of black's best, chances. Although if you do play h4 now, you'll have a Greek gift sacrifice idea. I'm not sure that would work. Probably not. b6, rook d8, knight d7. That's the only options black really has here. Black plays knight d7 with, theoretically, the threat of perhaps c5. Well, I mean, I guess he's threatening either one of these breaks, right? If black had an extra move in this position, he would equalize. Mr. Slow, a good comment. Can you argue that d4 is weak in the long run, open file, and only piece support? You can argue that it's weak, you can argue that it's strong. I think it's both, in a way, It's kind of like an IQP. It's a strength and a weakness at the same time. But it's really, just talk philosophically about the position. I feel like, d4 is what this position is about. White is better because of d4. But he has attacking chances as well. But black has developmental problems, so that's the issue. I mean, it does look like most people played rook d8, putting more immediate pressure on d4. I don't know that it's better. Shibernidze played it. She's still 2,500. Either way, I don't know which one of these moves is better. Someone played here queen e3. This is kind of an interesting move. But, hello. Black gets in c5. That's like an oopsie. We don't want to lose that, that pawn, or let black trade off our pawn. So queen e3 is definitely a mistake. This is tricky, man. I mean, this makes the most sense because we're threatening both breaks. So can white allow that break and still be better? I agree, Mr. Slow. We gotta play fast. Do we have knight g5? Two players have played, or one player has played knight g5. The wife of Lamy. Calling her the wife of Lamy. Alina Lamy. Wow. Not a bad idea, knight to g5. Basically threatening knight h7 and bishop h7, so you have to play g6 And then she castled queenside. H4 a la Kakhtiri. Yeah, I mean, Mr. Slow, this is definitely a thing. But I guess the issue is that White has some nasty attacking ideas here. So if, like, queen takes d4, you play knight takes h7. I don't know much about Alina Lamy, but she's not a quiet positional player, it looks like. Yeah, this looks pretty strong. So combining attacking chances. H5 is interesting. Right. Yeah. Queen e3 doesn't cut it. I mean, maybe h4 would give black the chance to play h6. What do you guys think? Do we just go postal now? We can. I mean, we can't play g4. Does knight g5 work? Is that possible? Wow. Can we do this? I mean, I'm just like, I gotta see this. That's gotta be good, right? That can't be healthy for black, can it? You gotta go back. Well, I mean, obviously white has at least a draw. We can safely assume that. No, I mean, I don't know. I think either knight g5 or h4. I agree. But maybe there's a, speaking of Kramnik, maybe there is a Kramnikian way of playing this. So e5, black gets in e5, but does he necessarily equalize? Do we have anything? Rook ae1. Rook ae1. Can I play this pawn takes pawn? Do I have any attack here? This is nothing. You know, I think this is nothing. We have to go for more. But it doesn't really look too convincing. Like, we don't really have anything here. So someone play knight g5 now. g6. And then d5. Okay. Who is Farkash Gabor? It doesn't ring a bell. It must be like Slovakian. It's a Slovakian player. I guess Slovakian, Hungarian. I don't know who Farkash Gabor is. They're playing against someone named Jan, so it's almost certainly someone from Slovakia. Okay, d5. At least here we have this passer, so we can do something with that. That's interesting. This guy is like, I think he's one of the Brazilian champions. What did he play with white? His opponent played, well, black played h6, and he played rook f e1. Yeah, h6 is kind of passive. That's another possibility. So black plays e5, takes, and now I think we have very little here. You know, you've let him equalize. Welcome to Drawville. Isn't that Hikaru's name? Drawville? Oh man, we got nothing. Draw. This is bad. So black blunders, blunder and counter blunder. So instead of bishop f5, you have bishop here, or bishop e6. But bishop f5 allows this little trick, and white has a better structure in the rook ending. Take, 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 and then things are a little tricky. This is not so easy. Active counterplay. Rook e7 holding on. So it's a draw, even though black's a slightly worse. It should still be a draw. This is a blitz game, by the way. I forgot to mention that. Sumer only submits mindless blitz games on principle. Though he played pretty well for a blitz game. I have no idea off the top of my head if white is winning or not. But I would imagine you've got a chance here that this is like not an endgame where black should exchange rooks. He's close to Zugzwang. I don't think this is going to work, man. I don't think this is going to work. I think you have to take on b6 here. But which way do we go after take on b6? This is like very bad. Yeah, exactly. b4, take, king e6, and now black is threatening king here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Till we can make a queen for black. Well, no, I'm trying to win for black here now at this point. After b4, white's pawn on c5 is overextended. I'm not even playing for a draw anymore. I'm trying to play for a win here. I think he should play pawn takes pawn, but then I don't know what to do. If I could play a4, b4, we might have something. But if I play a4, he plays c5. Here's where I'm not 100% sure. Again, if this king like manages to angle around, this must be critical. This has to be the critical variation after c5, b6, take, and a4. I mean, a4 is not forced, by the way. You can also play b4 with the threat of a4. Then black has to play b5, right? So I don't know. This looks kind of ugly. I guess it's better to do it Mr. Slow's way, or not move the pawns at all. I don't know. You could just not move the pawns at all. White doesn't have to move his pawns. Let's see what the computer says. The computer likes that the best. a4, c5, which I think is forced, and now h4. Okay, now Sotz's variation, h6 and move back and forth. Now we do g4. Takes, and there's a threat of creating an outside pawn here as well. So I would think like after king e6, black is lost. Maybe not though. Let's see. King e6, g5 immediately doesn't work because of h5. I'm not sure. Yeah, black's going to get zugzwang here. You have a better structure, more space. You have a tempo move with b3. Black's lost. Yeah, it's nice. So king f4, king f6, c5 turns out to be a good move. I guess b6 is actually a mistake, but then white blunders here with b4. And now the problem is like white is maybe worse. Take here. Now we have a situation where it might be a race. I counted 8 moves for black to make a queen, where it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So very likely a race scenario where it's like black queens first. and then there's some pawns left, and probably a draw. You know, some kind of like drawn queen ending, where black's actually queening first. So that's my guess. But white's not obliged to play this move, king g5. White might want to play, you might want to move a pawn or something. This pawn could be handy. But I think, black's just going to go for this guy. If you play like h4, black's going to just go king d5. It's probably not going to make a huge difference. So, whatever. Here, here, here. Did I count that move? Okay, in my variation, I was just, how was I doing it, actually? I counted 8 moves. But I was doing like this. So I didn't count taking both pawns. You have to do like one... You have to do both pawns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, I did. It's 9. 8 against 9. And neither pawn is like queening where it's going to be a check or anything like that. So it's pretty straightforward. Except white came short here. What happened? Well, something's gone wrong here. So he got a lead on us. I counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So why is black winning this race here? Now it's just 5 moves through. And this is like 6 moves. The problem is what? Here, 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 here. I mean, couldn't matter if we go here. We ended up like getting being a move short. I don't think h4 saves the tempo, does it? It feels like white shouldn't be lost here. I don't really see how h4 would save a tempo. Although it might be useful to play h4, h5. Oh, okay. I got it. What about this? Here, here, and here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's also 9. But let's just say, for argument's sake, you go h4. King d5, king g5, king c5, king here. We got king h7. This is also very slow. King h7, c5, h5, c4, king g7, c3, here. This is closer. The h-pawn actually might be better. You'd have to capture both f-pawns like you do in the other variation. I'm probably missing something blatant. If you guys see it, just let me know. But he has the Sots idea still. So king g5 is probably best to prevent h6. Black could also play h6 himself. But I think there white's going with these pawns pretty quickly. I don't know that helps black. I think he should just go for it. But let's see, h6, and then go for it. Then I think maybe we're talking about g4. It's tricky. So, okay, king e6, we gotta go. That's fine. Now the question is, do you take this pawn, or do you go for this guy? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You queen, I push to the 7th, and then you can check me. But, it's very complicated. So let's say king h6 here takes. king d5, h4, c5, h5, c4, h6, c3, king g8, or king g7. I don't know which is the best. c2. Oh, you're actually just queening, queen, check, king wherever. And what about this king and pawn in game? Now you got to play another king and pawn in game. Is white better here? No. Oh my god. This one's tricky too. This is crazy. Like, king here. 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 g4. It's probably a draw. It'll just be A pawns, you know. Wow. So how accurate is this analysis? King f5 is a blunder. We're right. We're right. So I figured out without the engine. You got to go for the H pawn. And it's a draw. Sorry if anybody else pointed this out. You're wrong about H4. No, you're probably not wrong, Chessy bro. This is our line. We go for the H pawn, it's a draw. This is like losing. Easy blunder to make. But it's not that difficult to count the tempi here. I mean, honestly, like, okay, get to this point. Don't go over here. That doesn't make sense. I think you want to be over here. Like g8, let's say. Now I queen. I push, and if there's no pawns, it's a draw. But you're losing because there are pawns. Alright, guys. Crazy game. Sumihara goes on to lose this. Or not. You won it. Oh my god, you won it. So you played king e7. Black queen first. You won the game. White won the game. Well, that's interesting. Quality chess. Say what? White won. Wow. H5 blunder and it's a draw. So just go. I mean, how many moves does it take white to queen? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're like 2 tempi ahead. It's very, very close. A5, G4, A4, H4, A3, G5, A2. It's not that close really here. Not close, not even near close. Black actually lost the game. It's unbelievable. H5. Now it's a draw. And how do you lose this position exactly? Ah, that's how you lose it. Wow. That's insane. You just let him take on h5. If you take here, obviously, all he has to do is take here and it's a draw. The point is, like, you have another queen, so why can't do like h4? An interesting and fun king and pawn game. Black really had to try to find a way to lose this, although I've probably lost the games as stupid as this before. Alright, man. It's a tricky king and pawn game. You didn't see the names. You thought it was watching an I Am Paschall over the board game. Wow. Alright, Princess Chess was next. Where is she? Not here. Present? No. Then I got crazy with the lag. It just froze up. Princess Chess submitted a game earlier before all use. Lost from the tournament. Alright. Loss. Loss as black. This is from Princess Chess. D4 knight f64 c5, d5 b5 the Benko gambit. White plays pawn takes pawn, black plays a6. White plays b takes a6 accepting the pawn. You know, so I mean, I'm not really like a Benko expert at all, so I don't know really, you know, how important is it here for black? How important is it here for black to play like g6 versus bishop takes a6? There's that queen a5 thing. There's a modern way of playing this, right? It's not this though. Is it? No, this is old. So there's g6, knight c3. It's not queen a5 here either. Where is this line they're playing with queen a5? It has to be g6. I keep thinking it's g6. Knight c3. Maybe on the next move, bishop g7. And after e4 you play queen a5. This is it. This must be it. Queen a5 here. There's actually not a lot of games here. Black's results are decent, though. Not taking on a6. Esquire. We'll have to ask, you know, Gawain Jones. But I think it's the g6, knight c3, bishop g7, e4, queen a5. And now bishop d2. I think Yevgeny played like a7 against me. Let me see if I have this position. Player, me, Asterbate. I had a game against Yevgeny. Damn, dude, this is serious lag. Alright. It's all set, Bob. Slendrina Sparkle Horse. Only once. So it was a different position, okay, against Yevgeny, where he played a7. You go g6, bishop g7, and castle even before anything else. Oh, you want to just castle first. Well, my game with Yevgeny's in there. I did castle against him. I castled against him. He played knight f3, and then I played queen a5, but I don't know if this is the way the pros do it. Yeah, okay, so this is it. Yeah, so Yevgeny played like a7 against me. So you do the kingside development first, and then play queen a5. This is the trendy way to play the Benko. But I think that's, you know, computer generated. This variation like didn't exist 20 years ago. It makes sense though, as far as like, there's no reason to take the pawn right away. Like, it's not going anywhere. I mean, the traditional, I mean, I guess there is a reason actually. I shouldn't say that. I lied. I mean, the reason for taking it in the first place is that, you know, you can capture on f1 and disrupt white's development. So ignore that last comment. I I subtract that, but I delete my comment. This is the main reason, but this variation is holding up pretty well for white in general. Sorry, anyway, that's the topical way to play for black. Okay, a6 takes, and then g6, bishop g7, castles, queen a5. All right. So now she goes here, old school, knight c3, d6, and now obviously e4 is like main line. So we have straight up old school main line. The only book I ever had on the Banco was the Edward Gufeld book from the 80s. That's really old school. Why don't you start a chess podcast for advanced discussion? I don't have any pods. Do I need an Apple device for that, Bob? Popcast. I have the subdued temperament of an interviewer. I think I better like being interviewed. I like being the interviewed. I did a couple lectures with a company yesterday where they were asking me questions about strategy from the perspective of a chess player. I like being interviewed rather than being the one asking the questions. I like talking about myself. All right. But anyways, I think I'm going to get into... I'll do the Maurice Ashley thing and get into... being like a professional, speaker or whatever. Yeah, Princess Chess, check the VOD, but the VOD pod, I think you should agree with the Monotherian and go with the G6. Mr. Slow just confirmed. G6, bishop G7, castles before anything else, and then queen A5. That's the hot variation. And that's what's written in new Banco Gambit books. It's hard to believe there are any new Banco Gambit books. It doesn't seem like anybody plays the Banco Gambit, especially at the highest levels. I mean, when you literally look at the games here, there's nothing here. Hardly any games. It's hard to believe that people are writing books on it. These are 5 years old, dude. It's 5 years old. No, 7. Sorry. 5 to 7 years old. All the games here. Okay, there's one. But almost all the games are 5 to 7 years old. It's like no one plays the Banco. Okay, bishop takes a6. Still, okay, this is fine. This is fine what Princess Chess did at the amateur level. She's not playing grandmasters. e4, bishop takes f1, king f1, knight on bd7, knight f3, g6, g3. Once I played h3, that's another variation. Not as good. g3, bishop g7, king g2, and now castle. Princess Chess. I've been trying to delay castling myself a lot lately, but I never thought about doing in this position. I actually like putting my queen on a8 in this line. So I would castle, play rook a6, queen a8. I mean, I believe that's what we looked at. The standard sort of rook a6. This move is the one that's doing a lot of damage, as far as I know. This is the preeminent Banco problem, apparently. a4. Now, it most likely has to do with move orders, but if white could do something like move the rook up, move the pawn up, and play knight b5, get everything evacuated off the long diagonal, it can be impossible for black to get out. I assume rook a6, queen a8, rook b8, something along those lines I looked at. But the variation, look at the score here. I mean, it's really, really bad. This looks gruesome. Exactly, Mr. Slow. So Mr. Slow is talking to, high-level master practice, has seen everyone abandon this traditional way of playing for black and going to that early kingside development with queen a5. So that's sophisticated stuff for expert players. here Princess Chess is playing an average player, 1700. They probably don't know, A4 is like the hot move. They're probably at the end of their book here, but Princess Chess, you have to castle. And I would think, like, why would you not castle? Okay, I think this is interesting, though. She played knight g4 at first. I shouldn't say that she has to castle. Okay, what's wrong with knight g4? It makes sense. She's being creative. Just please promise me you didn't play bishop takes c3 without, a good reason. Knight g4 is an interesting idea, trying to get that in before white plays h3. Knight d2. Best move, according to the database, it looked like. But it's not exactly a developing move. I don't know, man. If I was white, this is traditional, like rook here. But it's like, if you play rook e1, are you just like walking into sort of knight e5, c4, knight d3 type of stuff? What about, for example, queen e2? Does that make sense? In some variations? So here, okay, let's stop c4. Now what do we do? Oh my god, you've been watching my games too much or something. Princess Chess. Wow, she went psycho. You've been watching my games from the World Senior too much or something. My god. This is like... She went totally Captain Caveman. I like it, but it might, it might be over the top. Reminds me of this English I had. Alright. I'm skeptical. But is there a concrete problem? What if white again says like queen e2? And the point being, if white plays queen e2, which he does on the next move, but let's say he does it right away. Houston, do we have a problem, right? Because now white's going to play h3 and like f4 and trap your knight on e5. If h4, we drop a piece. If knight e5, we're just getting f forward. And we're going to get avalanched in the center. So he instead played this first, and then on knight e5 played this. Same deal, with maybe like a few extra options for black, like losing a pawn. I mean, sacrificing a pawn. Poor planning, I guess, by black. Looks like it's not going to work. Oh, man. Alright, can we sack a pawn here? No. I don't think so. Okay, first of all, knight takes c4. One pawn is one thing, but this is two pawns. We're 2 pawns down, no compensation. Damn. So instead of h5, we can try to make it work by going here immediately, but then last Milhort says queen e2. Yeah, this isn't working. It just doesn't work, man. I mean, it doesn't work. So knight g4 doesn't work. This guy knew what he was doing. I mean, 1700. He found knight d2, the refutation. So instead of that, princess, I think, you're supposed to play castles. Let's say white does this traditional move. rook a6 or knight g4. Knight g4 here. Let's say instead he plays h3. Now we do rook a6. Here, here, and then the knight peels around the back with knight e8 and knight c7. After knight d2, does h5 and g5 work? Yeah, you remind me of my teammates who play really bad Benonis. Try not to play g5 in the Benko Gambit and the Benoni. That's all the advice I have for you. h5 is one thing, but g5 is usually a bad thing. They always think like they can just play h6 and g5 and everything's okay, you know. But the white squares, you lose the white squares. If you ever play g5, you're going to lose those light squares. It's like playing the freaking Grob. Notice we don't have a light square bishop here. h5 I like from a strategic standpoint. You know, you're not weakening a lot of squares like g5, but I wonder if Princess can just cut her losses here and play like, I don't know. Knight h6 looks bad, honestly. You should just go back to f6, I guess. Objectively, this is your best move. There was another game where someone played like here in a similar position. I mean, presumably you're going to come back like that. It's not like it's game over. White might overextend themselves. Yeah, Bent Larson was big on h5. Botvinnik loved moving his rook pawns. I like moving rook pawns. But the plan wasn't well thought out. Princess Chess's favorite move is like bishop takes e3. I almost want to do that here though, because after like takes we can play this. And then when he does like queen e2 he can play f6. And like she did in the game, hunker down like this. But this isn't... I'm almost happy I don't have a g pawn here. I mean a g pawn, a bishop, whatever that is. I'm not sure this is that easy for white to win this position. But I definitely don't like it. This is really bad. This is like strategically a disaster. So I mean he should probably play f4. I wouldn't mess around, you know, necessarily with anything else. But on the other hand, I guess he doesn't have to. A little bit of everything for white here. I'll have an everything bagel, please. f4. You what? I'm sorry? Excuse me? I like to sacrifice a knight. My knight isn't moving. So you played f6 so you could not retreat your knight to f7? Are you serious? Because if you're not going to play knight f7, I see no reason, you know, if you're going to sacrifice your knight on e5, I see no reason whatsoever to weaken your kingside with f6. I've been known to lose a knight on e5 in the King's Indian. Everybody has. Once I lost to Copian in like 15 moves. And a Sicilian with my knight on e5 trapped. But I see no reason to weaken your kingside if you're not going to play knight f7 here. That is just totally bonkers. I mean, clearly this is the only move. And yeah, you're probably getting like destroyed here. To be honest. But, you know, maybe we can muddy the waters somehow with something crazy. I don't know, f5, anything. I mean, his king is pretty open here. You can bribe me. That's crazy, Princess Chess. What would possess you to just sacrifice a knight for nothing? She sacrificed the knight for nothing. Like, pass the bong, man. Hey, man. What were you smoking? That's crazy. That's beyond crazy. They should increase your K factor for that. For that sacrifice. F takes E5. Man, I mean, I wouldn't even do that like when I was smoking weed. F takes E5, knight takes E5, knight C7. My god, this is just so bad. Oh my god. I'm so sorry. But at least you have a good pawn structure, you know? That's the great thing about the Benko. See, it's just like the dragon, maybe sometimes even better. You've got the unassailable pawn structure. He can't get at the base of your pawn structure, even if you're down a piece. Would I be surprised if white like messed this up and was actually worse at some point later? Probably not. Now black is starting rook takes b3. You gotta ask yourself, how is white going to get a passed pawn? You know, that's probably not likely to happen anytime soon. If I was him, I'd be like, damn, I can't lose this game, or I'm never going to live it down. I'm like up a piece, and I can't win. Gotta give her credit. Maybe knight f4. He did that. He has a plan for that. Now h4. No h4. Princess Chess, do you have h4 here? Undermining their knight and trading off pawns. The number one rule of like being a piece down is trading all the pawns off so it's a draw. If you have this move here and you didn't play it, seriously? That's a big step. Trading off the g3 pawn, now white's only left with this, this, and this. All your pieces are maximum active, and they can't push, they can't take. They don't have access to g4. Jeez. His knight is paralyzed because he's got to protect b3. Now you're chipping away. It would take like a computer to win this position now. This is getting really, really tricky. Wow, you missed h4. That's a huge move. Huge opportunity for you there. Although it's still awkward for white. King h7, knight c4. Wow, there goes pawn number 2. Now, very important. To trade queens or not to trade queens? That is the question. I'm not liking this. Kind of either way, I'm not liking it. I'm not liking what's happening here. If you trade queens... What if you don't trade queens? Like queen takes... I guess objectively I would play queen takes b3. That's what you did. Yep, 95 takes, 96, yep. Oh no. You didn't do that. You're protected past pawn on c5? Are you even kidding me? This is the bomb. A knight d3 tactic? Not really. But there might have been if she had played like h4 before and undermined it. But I mean, dude, this is game over. Like, you have to take with the f pawn. This is a killer pawn. It's protected passer. This isn't over. I mean, white's probably winning, but it's not that easy. You know, this is a weakness. I can't believe it, you know? Wow. I mean, yeah, maybe you're going to get mated on the f-file. But it's not that simple. No, I hate this move, like, taking this way. Because this pawn is gone. She just went, but it's an isolated pawn. I mean, it's not going to get through, I don't think. I guess she wanted to keep her kingside better protected. But what about king h7? Like, do we really have to play g5 here? I kind of feel like, you know, you're lost no matter what, but I guess you figure anyway. h4 doesn't matter. Alright. Here, takes, b1. It's probably lost, I mean, but maybe if we could get the e4 pawn. Do we have to go here to go after the e4 pawn? White's gonna win. It's gonna be bring the king up. Bring the king up. King f3, king e3, knight d3, game over. Bob, I don't know for certainty. I mean, I'm just playing the odds. The isolated pawn is fairly weak in general. You have to resign here. Depends. If you're playing like a 400 player, probably not. Jesus Christ, that didn't just happen. Wow. No, I don't think so. You have this. This is still messed up. Wow. Okay, so... Ooh, interesting. Maybe it's not so simple. b2. Here. White needs to get the king over. The king needed to be like one more square over. But she has this. And after this, oh my god, no. What if you pin them with rook b3? Are you serious? This didn't happen. Tell me this didn't happen. Is white even like winning here? Maybe. They're gonna have to sacrifice one of their kingside pawns. Bring the king clear over here, and then hope this d5 pawn is a winner. Not at all easy. Princess just went for the pawn. And then takes here. Oh my god. Love the coordination. Look at that. Now rook d4, and now they're under permanent surveillance. I don't think this is even winning for white anymore. Wow. My god, look at these pawns. Like f5, maybe you can win. Seriously. Holy crap. Wonder if black can play for a win now with like f5. This here is no problem. We just take. Dude, seriously, it's possible you're actually better now. This is crazy. But it's a good lesson, you know, it is a good lesson in terms of the advantage of the Benko. Well, you see, you know, the advantage of this pawn structure all being together. She only had one island. That's why I wanted to keep the c5 as like an island like that, you know, one big snake. But I mean, she's still got one island versus two. This is totally not winning for white. Holy crap. But you gotta be careful with those knight forks. Yeah, I mean, what you don't want to do is like let white fix the pawns in this position. So f5 looks interesting. You definitely don't want to play h4. Or probably g4 for that matter. I think like an active move, king e6. Then knight e3. Also, I'd like to get your rook to a position where it's more on the side. But what about f5? I don't think white is winning here. Computer says h4 is okay, but I don't like it. It's a draw. You have many different moves that hold. And it doesn't even like f5 that much. I don't like g4 though. I don't like h4 allowing white to fix with g4. Something more flexible. You're going to get this, and then white like fixes the structure. Oh man. I mean, maybe it's still not winning for white, but we got the king in. That's tragic. Please tell me you didn't trade rooks. Now, like king c5, you went up. Can we please go back to this area here where we can try to defend ourselves? What are you doing over there on c3? Seriously, what is king c3 about? She's probably in really bad time pressure, but I mean, king c5 would try to get back here and like defend your king side. And you can always run over and attack this. Maybe white's winning, but I'm not sure. This is really bad. Now, like, he forced her to go after the h-pawn. I'm afraid this might be lost. This is probably lost. That king was on a mission to nowhere. Though she still has the h-pawn going. I don't really believe it. But, you know. Wow, only winning move, knight takes h3, and they found it. Dude, that's tough. A 1700. Sacks his knight now. I mean, he could have checked you, but he was confident in this knight sacrifice. Knight takes, rook takes, and king takes e5. Yeah. Yeah. So good fundamental knowledge of rook endings, and it's over. That was quite an endgame you got there, Princess Chess. It just goes to show you should never resign, like some people wanted to resign. Alright, we got a game from Nils. Nils bribed me $10, so we're going to go directly to... This is directly to go. Do not pass. $10. Nils is white. Guys, we might be late to the stream tomorrow. Rapid Chess in the morning. I have got a meeting, a very important date meeting tomorrow. What the hell just happened? What just happened? That happened before. Dude, I try to click on Nels's link, right? Then I click on it. And then I try to make this is the problem, right? I gotta get PGN. So we gotta get PGN. Alright. Get PGN. Then we take it in. Then we go here. Copy. Tools, analysis board, blah blah blah. This better work, man. Princess Chess a lot to say on the endgame. What an endgame. Study. Too complicated to analyze in 15 minutes, obviously. I don't know, man. Can I just put it in in the study. Master will be late. Maybe. Maybe not. I don't know. Chapter 6, the bribery game with Nils. So he's white. He's always white. Another pawn triangle, but this time white's played knight f3 and not knight c3, so there's no Marshall gambit. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I've never really done well against the note boom. I've tried different stuff here. I like bishop g5. I like knight c3, of course. That's the classical move. And of recently, because that's grammatically correct, I started playing like g3. G3 is always good, you know. You could play g3 against everything. Actually, Nils, you know, since you play the Grunfeld, since Nils played, I won't like honor that with a respect that with a response swap. We're not that primitive here. Okay, Nils, if you play the Grunfeld, you know, you might want to play the Grunfeld with white. You could just play the Catalan. It's the same thing. All right, he plays queen c2. This is quite playable. You know, the good thing about playing queen c2 here is black doesn't have like g6 and bishop f5 like in the normal Slav. But, I mean, clearly, first of all, there's the stone wall. No big deal, just be aware. And then taking on c4. This is an interesting position because there's this gambit here with e4. You can play e4. You can even try like knight on bd2. This is like there's no games, but I think it's kind of interesting. You could transpose to a line that I've played, knight f6. No, sorry, b5, b3 takes, knight takes, and then knight f6, I guess. Still no transposition. There's also a takes b, so there's all kinds of like gambit ideas here for white. Yeah, I mean queen takes, of course, it's like the normal move, but if you want to like get ambitious, there are definitely reasonable gambits here. All right, queen c4 is fine. That's got to be, you know, standard Catalan type of thing. So anyway, queen c2, knight f6, and then knight on b2. So I don't know anything about this business with knight on bd2. I don't know. Bishop g5 seems like a move, right? That's a standard, you know, kind of deferred Catalan type of thing. You do bishop g5. You're going to trade it on f6. Well, I mean, I don't think there is any really sharp stuff in this particular variation, but your queen c2 is a quiet line, basically. But it doesn't have to be. I mean, like I said, you could go gambit style. Gangnam style. But I mean, I don't think there is any sharp stuff anymore. You know, g3 is like solid. What are you playing here? The guy's playing the Kali system, and you're playing a Smyslov like solid kingside fianchetto setup. I mean, this isn't really a sharp position. This is correct and solid. But knight on bd2 is kind of quiet, not bad. Nothing wrong with it. What should black do? Well, probably he should take on c4, like last move. All right. But here, we're here now. Yeah, no, it looks good. I'm not surprised that knight on bd2 has a good score, actually. What is black supposed to do here? I mean, he's just playing the Kali system, knight on bd7. This move order looks a little funky. And now e4. Yeah, I mean, so knight bd7 is I think, more natural. Let's say I play knight c3, it could potentially transpose the same right. Yeah, but knight c3 gives him maybe, like, you know, a major alternative in the fact that he could, like, put his bishop on b4. It's almost like a Cambridge Springs variation or something. Plus, obviously, he could take. You know, you're gonna. What are you gonna do about this? It's a very, very different move. Oh, here we transpose to another gambit line. Though this is well known, I lost against Denis Shmelov in a Blitz tournament with this gambit. You know, to be honest, this is actually a Geller gambit with Queen c2. Spassky tried playing this. You're literally transposing to like a Geller gambit, I guess, with Queen on c2. No, knight c3 is very different. Your move is more correct. What if black were to play like b6 here? Oh, also another idea from a pawn triangle player is c5. Caruana game. There was this guy, Dmitry Schneider, who played me in the U.S. Championship back in like 2003, and I remember losing to him where I did a similar line with white with knight on bd2, and he did like c6, c5 in 2 moves. It's possible, because these moves are a little bit slow, that black could actually play c5 in 2 moves. But also I thought maybe b6, playing it like it could transpose to a closed Catalan after g3. But obviously e4 is sharper. So I like this. Now, you know, he's forced to take because he put his bishop on d6. See, if he had played knight on bd7 and then you play e4, he doesn't have to take, I guess, theoretically. Maybe he does anyway. Because he doesn't have knight back to e8. He needs knight back to e8, yeah. He would have to take anyway. Nevertheless, bishop d6 is going to cost him a tempo, so bishop b4 check isn't going to help. Now bishop g5. No, you're definitely a little better here. But bishop d3 looks natural. The problem is what? Do we fear bishop e4 check? So I say like somebody played this, but it's like a chicken move. But if you go bishop d3, I mean, this move, seriously, like, okay, king e2. We're just going to manually castle with, like, you know, rook d1 and king f1. Black's bishop is misplaced. I like bishop d3. I mean, you're threatening the castle. Knight f6 is no big deal. Or is it? Well, it's fine. If knight f6, you go back to e2. Or you can experimentally play queen h4 if you want to. And if bishop e4 check, you play king e2. But bishop g5 is a totally new idea. Wow. That's the problem? Do we have a problem here, officer? What are we going to do when he checks? Are you going to put your king on d1? Like my friend, the Weed Master? Against Arthur Bisgeyer? Totally different position. Mr. Slowhand Grind is gifting 5 tier 1 subs, community. Our biggest supporter, Mr. Slowhand. Thank you. 5 gift subs. ND Raven, Lionel Spoon, Jim, nice. Google Shilling, and World Loser. So you got some classic people in there. Jim, World Loser, Lionel. Couple new players. Thank you, Mr. Slow. Massive donation of 5 gift subs. So what's the deal here, you know, with bishop g5? I like bishop d3 better. But I think bishop g5 is playable. This move scares me a little bit. Because now we don't have king e2. You know, this is ridiculous. We can go to d1 if you want to be like Magnus Carlsen. Good lord. What just happened, Lord? Chess Ebra used 5 bits. Good lord, man. Bob never say good lord. Don't give me one, Mr. Slow. Explain what it is instead. That's not true. You've donated before, haven't you, Bob? Not what I was going to say. Alright, Bishop G5 rarely donates. I like Bishop E4 check. What are you going to do? You can't go back to there. You're going to play Knight D2 and drop a piece. King D1. I wonder what Nils would have done. Seriously. The only thing you're a donor of, you know, is at the sperm bank. I'm not stooping to your level. I'm sorry. I'm just kidding, man. You always bring out the worst in me. Alright. I'm just kidding, Bob. We love you. Bishop G5. Knight F6. So I like White's position now. Wow, that's ambitious. What do you want him to do, though? I mean, I'm just concerned about this diagonal here. I feel like Nils should possibly consider just making a, like, reserved move here. He does it, though. He does Bishop E4 check. Yeah, finally. You didn't play King D1. This is seriously perverse, man. This is great, dude. That's like... This is beyond, like, Super Grandmaster Korchnoi. I'm skeptical of King D1. But I applaud your creativity. There would have been better ways to do it, you know. Ultimately, I don't trust the safety of the white king here. Definitely better ways to do this. So now that plays C5. That looks good. Here. It's a really long manual castle kingside. Maybe we've invented like a new term, like long kingside manual castling. King D1, King E2, Rook D1, King F1. It only takes like 4 moves. A3, I don't see a problem with that. Bishop A5, and now, for my next trick, I'm serious, I think you should consider playing King E2. Is that crazy? Dude, run for the, you know, border, man. Make a Taco Bell, you know, run. Let's just be sensible here. Just because you put your king on D1 and you maybe like didn't play it correctly means you have to be crazy for the rest of the game. Well, it does drop D4. Is that an issue? I wasn't sure, but maybe it is. It does, I mean, it hangs. It implies that like I didn't see it was hanging. I saw it was hanging, but I thought we have something here. Let's believe in ourselves a little bit. Rook D1. Maybe you can play King H8, for all I know. King H8. Thus, you know, allowing for black to capture on D4. You know, but even so, you have a strong blockade. Maybe you can get something going. Yeah, it looks pretty dubious. But having your king on D1 is dubious as well. So he took... Oh, you took the pawn. Does that work? You didn't tell me that was a legal move. Oh my god. So that's the point of a3. So c5, bishop d3, castles. And the point, of course, is like takes, check, and he loses a bishop. So what is black's mistake? What if he castles first? You might have played a3, but let's say you go here. And c5, a3, you just take it. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we turned on the engine and it started like playing g5 for black at some point. I think with your king on d1, this kind of move that like, well, let's say it might be dangerous in a normal position. We'll have to start considering it as a possibility because there's this minor issue here with like g4. I mean, this is not an everyday position. Normally I'd be reticent to play g5, but I mean, if your king's on d1, I feel a lot better. Oh, so e5. If I had been playing black, I would have seen it. You know, but to be honest, this isn't so simple. You have like lots of options here. I mean, a3. It's not that terrible for white, probably. Or at least there's practical chances. Yeah, I don't blame him for not playing e5. Okay, but I like this. Now black really has to scramble. It doesn't look like he has this, but does he? Just take, man. Queen d4. I mean, you never know. I mean, there's a possibility black has some kind of tactic here, like piling up on you. I don't know. You're a madman. Alright, d takes c5 here. Bishop d7. I mean, is that like he's going to go here and play bishop a4 on you? Or like what? Wow, that's kind of a weird move. He's just going to go there. Why not b4? He has e5. Although I don't think your move prevents it either. I don't really like e5. Okay, I agree. Get out of there. Here, if e5, what are we going to do? By the way. Dude, what do you do on e5? Yeah, I don't like the king on c2, Tabias. I mean, if I can put it on f1, I'm going to put it on f1. If I have no other choice, I would put it on c2. But f1 is the safest place for the king to go, if it's possible to get there. Now we can play bishop takes f6. White's fine. Yeah, wow. So you did the delayed long kingside castling. Nice job. Rook hd1, rook d8, b4, greedy but good. Bishop c7, and then king f1. I love it. Now this guy is just lost. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, it's like over, man. The white king is safe, and black's down a pawn, and it's a 4-on-2 queenside majority, which is like devastating. I bet like Nils is beating up on some old man or something. What's up, Chemiculture? Okay, we still have to be careful. Bishop h7 check, anyone? I mean, I don't think that white is in any danger whatsoever here. And I think allowing this capture on f3 is plausible. But this looks very solid. How about bishop c2? Yeah. Trade the late score bishops. It's good. It's like your bad bishop almost. Here, here. Yeah, now g5, but big deal. All you gotta do is like queen a pawn. You know, queen a queenside pawn. Trade the pieces down. Exactly. Vacuum. Get out the Hoover. And he trades his knight. And you're just totally winning. What about exchanging on d8? You didn't want to do it. I thought maybe you want to fight for the open file. Like, it doesn't work though. Okay. He takes the queen. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't think he can let you like trade queens here. This guy has to try to avoid trading queens. He's down 2 pawns on the queen side. One pawn down, okay, maybe you could trade queens, but I mean it's a 4-on-2 majority. I mean, that looks pretty scary. I can't imagine if Black can survive, even with his own majority on the king side. F takes G, H3 and King H2. I don't think the white king is in any immediate danger. But it's a huge mistake to trade queens here. But you played A4. It feels like you got time for that, but maybe the first priority should be to improve your pieces. There are a lot of pawns, I mean, fixed on dark squares, though. So in a way, I don't blame you for wanting to play A4 and get those pawns moving. But it feels like we got to get this king resolved. You know, we got to get your knight and your king out. Oh. Did I say something about pawns on the dark squares? Jeez. I am not super happy about that move. How are we doing on time, guys? We have an hour. Hour max. So Nils is now forced to do something slightly desperate. Yeah, I mean, this could have been averted. But alright, c6. If he takes on b4, what about takes on b4? He doesn't have to take on c6. He could possibly take on b4. But I pretty much don't think so. Then you have 2... Well, if you take with the A pawn, you're going to have 2 connectors, which is probably winning. So if he takes this way, you have c7. Okay, so there's no option. He has to take on c6. I thought you were going to play b5 and go with protected passer, bro. But I'm not sure. You know, I'm not sure. I mean, taking on a5, I mean, you're certainly... Maybe you are winning. I'm not sure. Man, his king is like a million miles from the queen side. It may just be winning. But why there? Why would you go to c2 where you're like dominated? I guess it doesn't matter, right? You're just going to play a6. I still like knight d3 better. f5, it's too late. And now you're threatening knight b4. That's it. Nice. Just in time. That poor old man. Whatever. Yeah, this is just time to resign. Interesting game, man. Interesting game. There's a lot to that game. Let's go on. So, what was Chapter 4 again? Thank you, Nils, for your support. Thanks, Mr. Slow, for the donations of 5 gift subs. We've got a stream tomorrow morning, don't forget. I'll be a little late, probably. So what is this? This is Sots? No. This is Kakatiri. Which one of you guys is this? Chapter 4. Chapter 4 and Chapter 5 are Sots and Kakatiri. Which one is which? Well, one of them is Mr. Slow. No. Mr. Slow's is not fitting in the study. You're black here in number 4, Kakatiri. This is your Caro-Kann, okay. Got a lot of Caro-Kann players. We've talked a lot about this Bobby Fischer thing. That popped up again recently somewhere. Someone was adopting it. But it's an old secret that's been well known for a while. Not a big deal. Someone rediscovered it recently, tried to adopt it. But D4, okay, we're just like playing an exchange variation or possible pan-off with C4. I've played a lot of games here. I've played Bishop G4 quite a bit, but I don't objectively know like what the best move is for black. I don't really like G6 here. It's okay, though. It's okay. It's okay in any circumstance. You can do it. Not my personal favorite. Either case, like if white plays C4 or C3, either structure, I think G6 is playable. No refutation of G6 possible. I was just thinking, I don't know, what's the best for white against G6? It's a strange move order. I mean, C4 is just going to transpose to something normal. Now, I mean, when you play Bishop G4, you may want to trade on F3. This is something that I agree, like, maybe Magnus Carlsen or someone with perfect endgame technique can take advantage of the two bishops here. But this type of structure, it's not really the best. The structure's fairly fixed. I mean, black has like a minority attack on the queen side. And C4 leaves away with Isolani. It's not exactly like ideal to bishop's position. It's hard to create imbalance in the pawn structure. But to be honest, like, strong players don't play this for white. You know, this is like a coffee house setup. Except for the fact that Kramnik has 3 games here. But I mean, seriously, there's literally 7 master games. I said no strong players play it, but Kramnik has 2. That's pretty funny. But, you know, he was just like drawing with Anand. They could play anything. So G6, C4. Okay, we're in a Panov now. Knight F6. White's played Knight F3, which is not the most aggressive move against the Panov. Why not just like Bishop G7? Okay, whatever. Knight C6 is good too. You're transposing to a line that I play. And now white... White has to take on D5. Bishop takes D5, Knight takes D5, Queen B3. Or there's also Bishop G5, which doesn't seem to score as well, but it's interesting. Bishop G5, Bishop E6. is what black should play. So he plays this. This is lame. This is like white is flirting with being worse now. But alright, it's a Tarrasch. White is playing the Tarrasch with white pieces. Bishop g7 and then c5. Yeah, I've seen this before. Nothing to be afraid of. Castles and then bishop e5. I am happy here with black. I've played this position before. Knight e4, probably. Not particularly in love with like bishop f5. I don't know what it does. But this move, it's a Swedish variation of the Tarrasch, like in reverse, essentially. I don't think there should be anything here for white. That's what you played. Now white's supposed to castle. You see there's some high-level games. Anton played it twice. 3 times, and you're out. And that's it. It just like falls off. 3 Anton games, a Robson game, and then it's like Gino Dori, who's a Hungarian IM. It's not a great variation for white. The computer is like, okay, what? Castles. I think it's going to drop down. I can't imagine white is better, objectively. Wow. The engine is actually claiming an advantage here for white. I can't believe it. I just can't believe it. So it doesn't like knight e4 that much. Huh. What other options are there for black in this position? Bishop f5, bishop d7. If bishop d7, bishop g5. Just humor me for a second here. Giving white a huge advantage there. So bishop f5, castles, knight e4. Damn, white just won every game in this position. That's kind of disturbing, dude. What is the deal here? Why has white won all 5 games in this position? I can't believe this. What is going on here? c5, castles. Want to think about our move order. I just can't believe this is a problem for black. Okay, so if bishop f5 castles, what are we going to do? Rook c8? Well, I shouldn't trust my engine too much. This computer is very weak. I don't think that white is that much better. It's a little better for white. He's playing a Swedish variation 1 tempo up. I just don't believe it can be a problem. But let us take a moment to think about this. You know, one thing is, okay, knight c6 is fine. Okay, so h3. When you see this h3, is it possible black can take on c4? How bad is it? Bishop takes c4, bishop g7. Dude, I mean, explain to me why this doesn't like transpose to some kind of normal position. It's like an e3 Grunfeld. I guess it's another option, you know, taking on c4 if you want to. Wow, a6. Are you serious? That's a seriously perverted idea. Okay, bishop g7, c5, a6. Extremely insane idea. Stopping bishop b5. I don't know, it doesn't feel right. I like the way that you played it. Castles, bishop b5, knight e4, castles. But this is weak. Normal looking move, but it's just a little bit passive. So you have queen a5. Bam. Did you have that right away? Knight takes c3. What's going on here? Knight takes c3, pawn takes c3, queen a5. Bishop takes c6 is possible, but probably bad. Queen b3, and then like queen. What do we do? e6. Black is okay here. Anyway, I gotta move along. Move it along. Queen a5 and then this. This is ugly. Takes. And interesting position because like this may be overrated. See, you played bishop a6. It's very tempting. What did you do? Like win a pawn here? Well, maybe it's just good. So objectively, I guess it's just good. He can't just hang a pawn here. I guess he has to play something to defend the pawn. I mean, queen a4, for example. You could play a lot of things. You might play this. I don't know. You could play all sorts of moves. Queen a6 really prevent white from castling forever. Black's probably better after that. So he sacks a pawn, basically. And there's no, like, queen d2? Because of rook knight e2 check. Or is there? Does he have queen d2 here? Shit, are you serious? He has this move? Queen d2? Oh no. It looks like it might be okay for white. He can avoid like losing a pawn in this line. Because on knight e2 check you just take it, and now black has nothing special. Black's maybe slightly better, but not so easy. With the ghost bishop on a6. But he missed it. Now you just stop a pawn. Yeah. It's interesting though, it likes this. Wow. Is the queen trapped? Did I miss something? Wow. Okay. He can win your e7 pawn. So it turns out it's not a mistake. He has bishop d2 winning the e7 pawn. Though I still don't mind black's position. I guess that is an important pawn. At the end of the day. You'd rather have that pawn than the pawn on c3. It's an important part of your pawn chain. So instead of taking on c3, you should probably just make something sensible. f6 with the idea of rook e8 or rook e8. Maybe f6 first. To keep him off of e5, and then you play this whenever you need to. And black's like slightly better. Okay, so this was a mistake. Now you got back and everything's okay. Yeah, it's a disaster. Bishop g5 is a disaster. He's just like losing now. It's gonna take time, but you're up a clear pawn here. Oh, wow. E5 right away, you have that? Are you serious? Does it work? If it works, it's good. I mean, I don't see why white should release attention if he can find a way to attack e5 again. Maybe he could force you to give up, make some sort of concession. This seems like a major concession. He's just like cracking completely now. Look at those pawns. Now white is just, unless he has a way of like attacking e5 almost immediately, he's probably lost. I mean, you could literally play like queen d4. But I mean, I doubt that's a good move. Imagine like queen d4, rook f5. Yeah, at the end of the day, I mean, it's possible you rush with e5. You might look at that. But, you know, it looks like probably it was working. You have rook f5. I also think like you could sack the exchange here, to be honest with you. There's no way in the world that you're worse after rook takes f3. You know, I think like white's kingside looks kind of sketch here. Look at the light squares, you know. Camel Culture likes it. But computer will probably say it's like a draw or something. Be like Elon Musk and take a toilet to work with you. Asturbate. Perfect symbol for Elon Musk. Yeah, something like queen f7, queen d7. I like black too. Black's more dynamic. This is a blunder. He drops the pawn. So now you have the ghost bishop against strong knight. Rook takes f3 not working here. And he's got a big square on d4. This is such a stupid move for white. It's probably not that bad, but I mean, why not like trade and put his knight on d4? Sean Chess, thanks for subscribing. It's simple, you know. Can he just take here? And put the knight on d4 with an advantage? He's leaving you with the bishop pair. I think that's kind of risky. Major mistake for white not to exchange dark square bishops. See, he doesn't have total control of d4 now. I mean, he should still be like trying to play bishop e5, ironically. He does. But he's like hanging his a2 pawn. Queen and knight combo is quite strong. And I don't think you can give him the c6, so you have to move the king. Now his knight is dangerous. That's kind of greedy, but maybe a good move. I was wondering if his knight can come in again. Grabbing a7 is fine, but I was wondering if he can go for a queen and knight, you know, duo, like attacking your king. Imagine if he plays like knight d4, knight c6, knight e7 check. But I guess this is a safe move for white. He's probably holding here. It's like getting close to equal. Though your extra pawn doesn't seem... you're not up a pawn. I guess white is actually better. I was thinking you're up a pawn. Yeah, things are getting kind of annoying here. G5. quickly. Yeah, it looks like you're just hanging on by threads. Knight d7 check. Oh. Uh-oh. Active king. Hoppa. Active player never cries. No way to checkmate you here. Absolutely. They're threatening like perpetual at least with queen e1, queen g3. Wow. Can you say reversal of fortunes? Now you have a protected passer. Oh my god. So d4? Can we play d4? I guess there's some danger here. You know, with the king h2, g3 mate. It's not mate though, even that's not mate. Damn. So you're coming in on this line, you've got like bishop d3. He has no perpetual. Wow. Wow. Queen b4. The point is, like, you got the bishop to block laterally with bishop d3. Yep. Damn. So he has to trade queens with queen e5, only move. And what are we looking at here? What are we looking at here? His king is cut off, but it can come to f2 when you move your king. I'm wondering if you're winning. You know, the question is, are you winning? So I really want to play like king f4. But king f2. No, bishop e2. Knight d4. We have no time. I was wondering if we do something with the king, but well, obviously we're in no danger of losing. It's got to be a draw. This has got to be a draw, right? Not necessarily. Wow. Alright. So we get to this position here. King takes g4, king f2, king f4. I think somebody made a mistake. I don't buy this, that this is like losing for white. He has knight d2. Does knight d2 hold? I don't believe this is winning. For black, I mean. I don't think so. It's just not enough. There's not enough pawns left. So... But he checks you, forces your king here, and now he doesn't have a way to keep you contained. And you're threatening, like, Eventually picking off his c5 pawn. Jeez. It's over now, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, I'm just not sure 100%. It looks like once you get your king to e4, he's in trouble. Let's see what the computer says. No, it's still a draw. It's still a draw after knight g5. Okay, wow. Still a draw here. Oh, of course, he has to play king e3. I didn't realize he could do that. Jeez. Okay, so he's totally blockading this. So what can you do otherwise? You should have played like king d3. He's still holding. So he just like booted the endgame. Wow. It's possible it's still drawn after knight g5. It's unbelievable. So he can still blockade on d2. Wow. Yeah. Well, he shouldn't have let the king in the first place. I mean, white should play like knight d2, I thought. This has to be the simpler way to try to do it. Alright, good game. What do I got? One more game? Two more games? Mr. Slow's game is still in here. This must be Mr. Slow, right? And we've got Sots. Or Mr. Slow's game we couldn't put in the study. Was that it? Or was it Sots' game? One of them is Mr. Slow, one is Sots. This is Mr. Slow's first... It's not a Najdorf. Okay, guys, I gotta go soon. Last two games. Mr. Slow playing the white side of Rossalimo. Mr. Slow versus Unfortunate Guy. Just glad it's not me, Mr. Slow, this week. I'll see you on Sunday. Alright, Mr. Slow versus Unfortunate Guy. Bishop b5, g6. Sorry. Bishop b5, g6. Castles. Bishop g7. Gokatiri, another endgame that was too complex for the time, you know, we had available. So Mr. Slow goes with the bishop takes c6. I can't believe Japan. Alright, d takes c6. I like b takes better. I mean, it's more dynamic for black. So I mean, the main line is e5. But I've never seen anyone play this. Mr. Slow's opponent played b6 immediately. I mean, that's a move that usually gets played at some later date, but not like right away. So how do you take advantage of that, or can you even take advantage of it? I mean, we can't move our bishop till we play knight somewhere. But I wouldn't think like white is obliged to play h3. You might have other moves you could play. I'm not surprised to a4. You know, speaking of which, Mr. Slow, you might want to check this out. There was a game in the World Senior where Nevenici played it. He's very good. You know, he beat Novik, who was the eventual winner of the World Senior, second place anyway, tied for first. Nevenici played a really nice game against Novik to be the only player that beat Novik in the World Senior in a very similar line with a4. I kind of like a4. I don't care if he plays bishop g4, you know. I mean, give me the bishop, give me. Give me the bishop. I like a4. So maybe this is, this is nothing, right? That's not a problem. Why do we have to play h3? So black's supposed to play knight f6. Obviously e5 is a normal move. But he plays knight h6. That's experimental. Okay. So it's interesting. He's coming up with a weird setup. Again, a4. Obviously a5 is typically played. But, an interesting thing happened in Novik game. Novik allowed Nevenici to play a5. I thought like typically black always kind of auto plays a5 in these structures. Mr. Slow played knight c3 and now f6. So this is known. Obviously the knight goes to f7. Wow. So Mr. Slow says, I'm going to disrupt you. Well, you don't have to play e5 right away, or do you? Yeah, I guess you do, because he's going to play e5 on the next move. Wow, people actually played d4 here. This seems kind of weird. I don't like that. I really like Mr. Slow's idea of playing e5, but maybe black can just like chill, He takes on e5. There's no way that taking on e5 is the move here. Goodbye. Nice knowing you. Structurally not good. Yeah, I think this is pretty normal. It's web chess. In general, this type of thing with knight h6. But this is not an option, in general. I think you either like leave the tension or you play maybe f5 if you're desperate. I would probably, knight f5 or whatever, you leave the tension. So e5 is a new move in this particular position, though. It does give black another independent possibility, perhaps bishop e6. Of course, you got to watch the e-file. Takes, rook e1. And this could get a little dangerous, but probably black is okay. You never know when a crazy tactic might pop up. With the old like knight e4 or something, but it's not clear. I like this. This is a new idea. White doesn't have a great score from this position. Novelty. Yeah, I'm only thing I'm certain about is like this is probably not a good move for black. But how bad is it? Is the question. Oh shit. I didn't think you were going to take on e5. I thought we just hang out, obviously white could do this, and this. 2 knights against 2 bishops, white is better. No breaks. No breaks for black here. This is Nimzovich would have, he'd be very happy with white's position here, but Mr. Slow has this. Immediately just taking. Okay. I thought you were going to just build up, but I guess he has time to play knight f7, so. Although I still think you're better here, even if you don't win the pawn immediately. I don't like black's position. It's destroyed structurally. But this is probably strongest. Takes, and then queen c7. Z-Web Chess, thanks for subscribing. We do this analysis every Thursday with subscribers. You could submit a game next week. Queen c7, defending the c6 pawn, but I'm not sure c6 is really hanging. If I'm black here, I'm like, get me out of here. Get me out of here now, I am not concerned about my c6 pawn. There is a funny tactic, though. Knight takes c6, queen c7, knight d5. Oops. Don't you love it when that happens? Oh, man. Okay, so we go to a different square. Queen here. which is equally annoying, but not really here. But you see what I'm saying? Like, things could get a little bit murky. If black castles, he has a chance, I think, to keep the game complex. Nimzovich just takes on h6 now. There are some situations where maybe the rook is useful on f1 and you bring the other rook over. So my first thought is like queen e2 rather than rook e1, because there's a small chance that that rook might be useful as a defender if we have a choice between like queen e2 and rook e1. But on the other hand, you like might be wanting to put your queen here. I'm not sure exactly where we want to put our queen. f2 screams to me like a little bit weak. Probably doesn't matter. And this is like the most... Yeah. This is really bad. I mean, this is the story of the Roslimo. I call that the ghost piece. Yeah, I mean, you're probably right. It probably doesn't matter. But I mean, bishop a6 is like, wow. Bishop a6, yeah. But I mean, you know, what's he going to do? If he can't castle kingside, I mean, at least go here. No, to be honest, what about bishop f5? You know, g4, okay, do g4, I don't care. You know, if you're going to play g4, play g4. But if he's going to castle queenside, then at least maybe he should put his bishop here, where it can kind of look both ways, so to speak. I mean, I'm sure you have strong moves in this position. But nothing is like screaming out at me like white is winning by force here. You play like f4 and you have an advantage, probably like sacrificing a pawn, but bishop g5. This move in particular is horrifying. The bishop does nothing out there. Literally nothing. I mean, it's like, okay, if black had like 3 moves in a row, he could play like queenside castles, king b8 or king b7, and then c4. 3 moves in a row, here, here, and c4, and black has counter chances, right? I just wasn't sure where the queen belongs, like on e2 or d2. This is the problem, one of the problems with bishop leaving that diagonal. That's why bishop a6 is really bad. I think he has to stay around, you know, this diagonal. So here, 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 I guess, bishop f4, bishop g5. And black's going to have to sacrifice that pawn. You know, at the minimum, you would see a variation like this. And this would be the best black could do. Let's say, like, lose a clear pawn with bishop takes e7. But in this instance, his bishop is still, like, fairly useful. And his pawn structure remains compact. So I would think, like, black would have chances to draw here. Let's say objectively. This, for me, is, like, the move that loses the game 100%. After queen g4, it's like you're down a piece. You know, no coordination. And then that's not going to help either. Ops color bishops. Wow. That only improves white's attacking chances. Yeah, he really just threw the game. Trading queens, okay, you're in the game, but no. Mr. Slow's too good for that. I wonder if you have something crazy here, man. No. I wanted to play rook e7 check. That's not going to work. Rook e6, you have other moves as well. You might want to play queen g5 or queen h4. But you have rook takes c6 check, rook takes c6 check. He doesn't have bishop c8, does he? And you go here. So castles is his only chance. And you don't even do rook takes c6 check, which is a tricky ending. You played this. That's obviously not going to help black a lot. Well, he's down a bishop. I mean, it's like quintessential Christopher Lutz versus Fritz 8 or whatever. He just resigned. He lost the exchange here. Ugh. All right, it was bad. It was bad. We're of ideas. Yeah, queen h4. This looked good. Everything was good. Black's down a piece. It's like good bishop versus no bishop. All right. Last game, Sots subscribed. He's in there. It's in the study. Where's my study? Learn. Well, I mean, I feel like black could El Tractor. I feel like black could put up some resistance if he doesn't put his bishop on a6, honestly. Chances to survive, let's say. I love that light square bishop in the... That's like White's whole game in the Rossalimo, man. That's the whole point, right? You're trading on c6. You're questioning whether or not that bishop becomes a good piece. That's the Rossalimo. I mean, with bishop takes c6. If the knight is better than the bishop, or if a bishop's better than the bishop, you know, if your minor piece is better, then black is lost. Okay, this is Sotz's game, but I don't know which color he was. I don't know if he's still here. Sots plays e4, so he could be either white or black. I like this h3 variation against the Najdorf. Let's see who won. White won. You're black. Yeah, h3 is not bad. It's an interesting system. So, are you supposed to set up like a fianchetto on the queen side? It plays like a fianchetto variation where White plays g4 often, right? You can still do g3 and turn it into like a g3 fianchetto. Obviously, you can play e6. I like held a draw against Edward Gufeld once in a very bad position by transposition. Something like one of these things with like e6, g4. I did not enjoy that. You know, it was like bishop g2, queen e2. Black has no space, you know. It's way, way better to go e5. This is definitely the best. And then, obviously, white can also play the knight to b3. And I guess knight f3 is a move, too. But h3, you know, not the most aggressive. So this is the main move. And now I think you're supposed to play, like... I thought you were supposed to play, like, b5. No, I mean, I was black against Gufeld. He was white in a g4 Sicilian. Okay, b5 would be my choice. Trying to get bishop b7, right? g4. Yeah, this is known. Okay. So h5 is the modern move. I haven't looked at this in a while. I gotta remember. h5 against everything is the modern Najdorf. I know. It makes sense, though. You know, it totally makes sense. You're stopping g4. Black has a wonderful score here. But so let's play bishop e7. Yeah, I agree. h5 is probably best. 75% draws. Yeah, isn't that crazy? How can like 70% of a Najdorf variation be draws? That's just ridiculous. So this is like a kind of safe classical looking move. But if he plays g4 now, there's less time to play b5. Because he's hitting us with g5 too fast. So now we're forced to play h6. Well, not forced, but I don't like this. Yeah, so bishop b7 is a mistake. I mean, I still think that b5 is playable. b5, g4, bishop b7, bishop g2. So apparently you're supposed to... Now you can play bishop e7 maybe. How bad is this? Playable. Knight g3, g6, bishop h6. For example, I don't know. Looks like it's better for white. We can't castle, but it's still possible that black can play this way. But I agree with Mr. Slow. He knows what he's talking about. h5 is recommended. Alright, but I'm not a Najdorf player. I used to play the curious attack with black. We didn't get the game with Gutfeld out of a Najdorf move order. It was like a Scheveningen. Bishop b7 is a bit passive, but I don't know what to do now. Yeah, h6 makes sense. Bishop g2, bishop e6 here. So we're going to try to play like g6 if he plays knight g3 and stop him from coming into f5. Right, this concerns me, the queen d2, because then we can't play g6 because white will like rip off the pawn on h6. So what if he plays queen d2 first and then plays knight g3 with the idea of maybe putting the knight on f5? Everybody played rook c8. What's our idea? We can't play d5. We can't sack and exchange. I was wondering about this. Where is black's move here? b5? We just do like b5. Then this? I'm not sure. Maybe we could sack two exchanges. What does black do here? Ah. That's the move. Okay. Now I understand. We have knight b6. Knight b6 would force white to play b3. And now he's loose. Alright. So that's the problem with knight g3. If white plays queen e2, rook c8. There's also this like right away too. Well, rook c8's better because you hit the c3. But your opponent played what? Knight g3 right away. Yeah, that's a drawback with queen d2. He's walking right into knight b6, knight c4. I'm way more used to playing like white Najdorfs than with black lately. I never play the Najdorf. I play the classical. I'm just not used to looking at this position from ever with the black side. Obviously, I want to play like g6 to keep you off of f5, but we could even do like a freaking perenni variation type of sacrifice or something. Like, what happens on like knight f5? Seriously, takes. Isn't that like a problem? Wow. White could probably play knight f5. Unbelievably. So g6 is sort of pointless here. We'll just take it if he plays knight f5. Right. I'm just saying, like, thank you, Camel Culture. Camel Culture, he sees everything. Alright, let's go a step further. He's right, though. We have to look at it. It's not trapped. I mean, you have bishop e5, bishop c6. I gotta see what the engine says. Yeah, it's not a problem. So knight f5 is unsound. Camel Culture ruined it. My lie about this position, knight f5 being a real thing. Thanks, Camel Culture. Casting down on my stupid idea. Alright, it doesn't work. So last idea. So you can play g6. Well, maybe we should think about it then. Queen d2, rook c8. White just piles up here. b3. Then what if rook c8? Castle's queenside. Okay, it's an interesting game. It looks like the computer thinks that white is always better. It looked cool. Well, it looked like the only move is what it looked like. Alright, bishop e6, bishop e3, knight on bd7, knight g3, knight b6 immediately. And now castles, rook c8. White has won both games here. I definitely wasn't expecting a4. I mean, a4 seems like a weird move. I mean, he's like forcing us to go to c4. I want to sack the excuse me. I want to sack the exchange. White might even have this. You know, I mean, that's okay. It's just too fanciful. I mean, this is not really sound, I don't think. Knight f5 did look cool, yeah. So you've actually transposed to what is likely a correspondence game here. When they have like these 30-letter names, I think they're normally correspondence games. Random correspondence game. Especially if the middle names are in there. So queen a5. Black played this, and white played a5. That does seem kind of weird, though. I mean, what is white threatening? Exactly. Anybody? Knight d5? Is it just this? That's white's kind of only idea, isn't it? I mean, b3. It's an Alexander Ivanov. Never put your queen on a5. It's rare we see it in the Najdorf. So he does knight d5. He might have other moves. I mean, I would think like white could hold. Try to hold the position with something like safe. Maybe queen d3. And in the moment of truth, bishop takes d5 is going to leave this square very weak. So if you take with the bishop, I would say you almost have to play g6. That knight is very sus. You took with a knight, your knight is still sus. I am not too happy about that knight there. White is going to need to play a king move. And our queen is awkwardly placed. Jeez. Basing it on tactics. the trash compactor. The compactor. Man, it feels like you're playing a GM suddenly. Oof. So I guess it all comes unglued when you play Queen A5 here. These are mostly correspondence games, so it's computer versus computer. Black played Knight B6. I mean, obviously it's conceivable to put your knight on A5 as well to come back to C6. So what does Knight B6 do? It's coming back here. We played A5. He actually went back to C4. Oh my god. Look at this game. Knight D5. Knight takes A5. Geta Karamsky. Geta. Wow. Knight E7. King E7. That is crazy. Check. Bishop takes. No, who knows? Maybe it's not a correspondence game. I don't know. Wow. White sacked the pawn for the two bishops. Old correspondence before computer is a gold mine. Yeah. Well, this isn't. This is 2014. Computers were still pretty good. Yeah, I don't like this queen on A5. You got all tangled up with these pieces. What about bishop takes D5? Pawn takes. We just got to get out of there, right? This is a huge problem. We're already in serious trouble. What does the computer say? We're already in serious trouble. So A4 is the engine move. That's kind of sus, huh? Yeah, I mean, you're already worse. So this line is bad. You should definitely follow. You should follow Mr. Slow's advice and play H5 in the opening. Let's take a look at this. I mean, this is definitely passive. It's the engine's #1 move, actually. That white has different lines. There's like bishop G5 and G3. I remember looking at this a little bit with one of my students. But you know, this H5 is so usual now in all the variations of the Najdorf. Lichess, my friend, tries to do it in every position, but it's not always applicable. He even did it like against bishop E2. I was like, dude, what are you doing? I mean, it was A6, bishop E2, and the guy played H5. I'm like, this is ridiculous, man. You know, it's crazy to play it here. This is like the most inappropriate H5 I've ever seen. But against H3, E5 here, H5 makes sense against this knight because it's coming at G3 and the G4. So I think that's probably the best bet. I agree with Mr. Slow. Alright guys, I gotta go. Thanks everyone for joining me. We will be back some point tomorrow, and then of course the Sunday simul. Thanks to all of you for your support. Camel Culture, moral support, being a subscriber or not. Cheer 100. He's got the Cheer 100 badge. That's brutal. Anyway, guys, thanks for the new subscriber, Z-Web Chess, Mr. Coffee, good to see you. Mr. Slow for 5 gift subs, Astrobate, Mr. Coffee, all of you. We'll see you all for Friday and Sunday streams. Thank you so much, all of you guys. Chess Ebra for your 5-bit donation. Very generous. Get on the leaderboard. That's the important thing. Number 2. Thank you guys. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.